I try to shut my bed up at the last second. I'll be looking at my bed. Bless and power, bless and power. Much love, much love. I wanted to chop it up, break some bread. This is gonna be a long one anyway. It's gonna be a long one. So, because I wanted to talk about some stuff. This one is titled, as you saw, relationships are granted. You know, earlier I was just thinking, I was like, why are relationships taken for granted nowadays so much? There's a lot of people having relationship situations, I would say, uh, that are affecting them deeply. And I end up running into people who want to talk about that. It's a lot of variables that come along with that. So I'm open to it, but I'm also kind of guarded as far as being mindful of my emotional space. And that's important too. Uh, that's very important because it's your mental images and it's your emotional space that creates your reality for you. So if you're allowing somebody to bring emotional energy, bringing that vibes to you, if you're not protected and solid within your own space of being, then you will allow them to affect you and in turn affect how you view your reality and what you create in it. That's a like that. That's a whole other type. But I want to specifically talk about just relationships being taken for granted and what and where is that coming from? And when I asked myself that question earlier, I was like, how is this happening like this? There's a lot of people going through a lot of things. The energy is in the air. I think it's the best way I could say it and sum it up. And it's about how you react to this energy that's in the air that allows you to see uh, how your relationships are going to develop. It's not ironclad or in stone. It's really up to you and your decisions at the moment. But a lot of people, because they're not aware of this, they react and they respond to the human default programming, and then they're in a very predictable situation. And so, in order to safeguard against that, you have to become mindful of this, mindful of your emotional space, mindful of your thoughts in the moment, and find ways to neutralize and transmute them in the moment. Really, this is this. If you can do these things, then it helps you grow, it helps you expand, it helps you really maximize your creational space rather than self sabotaging when you are receiving those things that you do desire, that you do want. You're magnetizing to you, but then people can, I should say, not you. People can, and we don't want that. So we want to become mindful of it. And we want to talk about it so that we can begin to create the heaven that we desire, and not be, not be a pawn in the world that somebody else is trying to create for us. So going back to that subject matter, when I asked why, it's like it's a lot of in today's world. There are a lot of gaps in people's fundamentals, like fundamental understanding of things, because we grew up, we're growing up, people are being born in a time where you're you're not seeing in various forms of technology and various forms of just supplemental things that we use, uh, you know, accessories and whatnot. We don't see the fundamental uh, basics, rudimentary version of it. We're seeing a more developed version of it. So because of that, some of those basic, the basic understanding of how a thing functions is skipped in a lot more things as today's society than it was in previous, cultures or societies. There's certain cultures where that is the case, and I think that you could look at their relationships in the ratio of them being happy and fulfilled in their relationships in their cultures, even in today's world where they have less technologies. And I I would be willing to bet that they are much more fulfilled in those relationships at a higher ratio based on the amount of people that are in that's in that culture. With the factor being that there's there's less technologies that are not understood by the mass of society, because that's really what we have going on. Um, so that was another side note, but that's not really what came to me. That just kind of just came to me now, but not what I wanted, not what I would want to refer to earlier. So what came in was like it's like even food though, and that was the main thing. Like our food, when people like just buying food, really at any point, a lot of times in their life, they aren't seeing like how this particular food item, fruit, vegetable, grain goes through its process of going from a seed, one single seed, into developing into a full plant that produces fruit that is consumable for your avatar vessel for whatever reason. Because people aren't seeing that, I think it creates a lot of just fundamental gaps, and so there's a lot of assumptions being made, rather than communication and understanding being gained as far as when we are relating to people and attempting to uh, grow with them. Yeah, and grow with them. It's a lot of assumptions being made, and then with those assumptions, you make an assumption, and then you run into a situation to where things aren't fully understood. They're not fully understood, but people think that they are, and but and so I think it's because it's a lot of things that people aren't seeing. You know what I mean? Like they're just assuming about a lot of things. That I think that's what's going on. So you just, in far as you're relating to a whole nother human being, a whole nother person, it's just not the fullness of the value of who that person is already when you meet them, and not who you would want them to be, isn't always fully um, grabbed. It's not even fathomed. Like it's because um, people are just used to seeing finished products of things in the way that they desire them to be, which is not a bad thing. That's really what you want too. Um, but also there is an amount of work, and especially in relationships, so it's a lot of preparation and um, adaptation that takes place because you becoming something different, something new. You know what I mean? Like every relationship is like that. Like uh, I remember growing up thinking like how wild it was that like all of my relationships with people were different. You know what I mean? Like each one of them had a different type of way that we related. You know what I mean? And oftentimes it would be like sometimes groups of us, it would be awkward because I would see them relating with other people differently than how we related. And it would be almost like they would be a whole different type of person. But now I understand it's because like literally like any type of um, connection, especially a deep friendship, really solid kinship, um, intimate union. You have this whole new thing that is being created, and that's not talking about a child. Like you have a whole new type of energy that is there, and people, and because people aren't aware of these different dynamics that are taking place, um, and the fullness of those details of emerging of an energy, then you just have a lot of factors that are involved in relationships aren't as successful as they could be. And this is all of the different types. but going back to the original point, I just want to touch on that. Like, I felt like that was interesting about like the the plants and the food and people not really being able to see. Like most of the time, they're not growing any plants at all. There's some places they haven't even seen any plants grow, um, or seen it enough to really give it like its value. Like especially like if you've ever been like hungry, but you mess around. Like imagine being hungry, but then all you have though is just like one seed and some soil, and some water. You know what I mean? Like, and you're like really, really, really hungry, and you're in a room, and you can't eat until you nurture this seed, or even give you 3 to 5 seeds. You can't eat until you nurture this seed into its full growth, and then you growing this plant out. Doing whatever it needs to grow allows you to be able to eat. Imagine how you would value all of these resources, this seed, all of those things that allowed you to help that plant grow. You would value that food like immensely, and every seed that comes from every plant that you were able to get from that one seed, those few seeds that you was able to actually make grow. And that lack of connection from that type of value, um, from that type of experience that gives such a value in life, I think it correlates to how our relationships are in general, because most people aren't having those types of experiences ever, or often enough to really make it feel like it's, I appreciate eating. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate eating. I appreciate being able to. I appreciate what this thing had to go through to become something that could be um, consumed by this vessel and then used as a fuel source to uh, power its different technologies. So I think that's something that is just. I thought that was interesting. And it would be something that would be great to find a way like to implement, and see like a study, like just see what happens if you know you were able to get a, a group of children, or a group of parents that volunteered their families, for I guess for that type of experiment, and see what type of relationships, you know, were produced from the families and the children that grew up in those environments. It would be amazing to see that. But anyway, I just wanted to touch on that. I hope everything's going well, and if it wasn't, may just be the moment where it starts to get phenomenal for you, where you start to really open up your eyes and open up your heart to the different wonders of life and the different opportunities that are presented to you every single day, no matter where you are, no matter who you are. You get so many opportunities to have so many phenomenal experiences. It's just up to you making a decision to make that your reality and your everyday sort of thing. And like, and the most important thing is, what are you considering to be phenomenal? Now, this scale is what allows you to really start to actually manipulate the values, and then begin to increase the amount of energy that you're able to intake throughout your days, because the value isn't of an experience and of a thing isn't given from somebody else. It's from coming from within. So it allows you to achieve higher levels of gratitude and appreciation, I think, which allows you to have a better relationship with yourself, if nothing else, because you begin to appreciate what is coming, what you're magnetizing, and what you're creating. So I think appreciation and thanks are must-haves to understand, as far as if you desire to be a being who can love unconditionally. I think it's fundamental. And I think that I was texting somebody last night, and I was explaining that I think that's one of the fundamental reasons we're here to have this human experience, is to grow our perspectives of unconditional love, because That's what constructive experience is fundamentally. You know, it's unconditional love and care for myself and my surroundings, and excuse me. And I'm about to spit, but I'm about to end this video as well. And then building with that. So bliss and power, commit to the great. You have it all within you. I just wanted to chop it up and break some bread real quick. I'll probably have back on here a little later on. I just wanted to chop it up and give some love. So keep doing what you're doing. And I'll talk to you soon.